so from the very start this story establishes the kind of flat, pictorial tone that makes it clear we're not going to get any flowery language or purple prose. And the nameless protagonist has taken care of business. He got the last man on his list, and now the revenge he thought would bring him peace has actually brought him to a reckoning. But the thing is, he doesn't know what to do next. This part of the story makes me think of someone like LeBron James at the free throw line, you know? But the game on the line, there's like 5 seconds left. Crowd is going wild and LeBron just steps up to the line and takes the shot, and it is like, you know, I'm imagining like 20 different scenarios in my head, all of which end with LeBron making the shot except for maybe the one where he misses. And then they lose. But I don't want to think about that one. So obviously, we've got a metaphor here because in basketball, LeBron can make all the shots from the free throw line and beyond, right? But when he gets to the three-point line, he starts missing shots. He has to change his approach. But for our unnamed narrator, he spent his whole life honing his revenge skills. But now that he's executed every revenge fantasy, he's basically standing at the three-point line and he realizes he's got nothing else. He's out of tricks. Now, despite the title of the story, this is not a story about revenge. Okay, that's a detail I missed on first reading. But this is actually a story about something far more difficult, which is what happens when you build your entire identity around revenge and then the revenge fails. So now what? That's the question the story asks, and the answer, of course, is you find out what else you've got. You find out who you are when you're not busy getting revenge. And for our protagonist, that's the hardest thing he's ever had to do, of course. He can't escape the consequences of his actions, right? He's got to deal with the cops. He's got to deal with the families of the people he killed. But that's also just a microcosm of what he's facing on the interior, right? He's got to deal with the ghosts of the past, all the people he loved and lost, all the people he betrayed. He's got to confront all that stuff, and none of it brings him any closer to absolution. Now, to be fair, the story does drag a little bit in the middle. You know, we get bogged down in the details of prison life, and I understand why the author included it, because it is important for a protagonist to pay the price for what he did. But it's also sort of tedious to hear about the monotony of prison life. It's like, okay, I get it. He's in prison. Move on. But thankfully, the story picks up again when he's finally able to confront the ghost of his past. And that's when the story really finds its power. When he comes to terms with the fact that there is no redemption for him. That the only thing he has left is memory. Now, when I read this part of the story, I couldn't help but think of Jesus in the garden just before his crucifixion, right? You know, he's contemplating what's about to come and he says, Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. It's almost like our protagonist has finally reached that moment where he's like, I've done what I set out to do, but now what? He's accepting that there's no redemption for him. All he can do is try to make things right, try to atone in some small way for the sins he committed. That means learning to carry the weight of what he could not save. It's a quiet ending, but it's also the right ending because this isn't a story about fireworks and catharsis. It's a story about what happens when you live a life of revenge and then you stop. And the answer, of course, is that then you have to figure out how to live a life of something else. Well, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching and see you next time.